these jalapeno peppers are perfect. Is there really such a thing as too much rosemary? Ooh, gotta have some mint. And of course, we just need a smidge of something sweet. Ladies, what do you have for me here? Oh, perfect. Okay, I need one more thing. Smith. Who doesn't love a farm fresh meal? Not only does it taste great, but it's also good for you. This is also why so many people are choosing to start their own homesteading operations, or at least grow a few of the things that they eat in their own backyard. And for those who haven't taken that plunge, they're searching for healthy and natural alternatives and how to incorporate them into their daily lives. So in today's show, I thought we'd take a look at some ways in which we can integrate food that's grown directly on a farm into our meals. Why don't we get started by going to a restaurant that supports local growers?
My husband and I started the Farmer's Table about 2 years ago. I had a background in food system work and hunger relief, and so I was around the farmers often at the market doing SNAP outreach and some market gleaning for hunger relief. And I just noticed how much food was left over at the end of the day and how so many of the farmers would leave the farmer's market and go to a second job because they weren't making a living being farmers. So that really struck with me, and then my husband's background is in the restaurant business. So that's how we started the Farmer's Table. We work with over 100 different farmers, about 140, and we source year-round all of our meats and grains and vegetables. And last year we spent over $200,000 with local small family farms. I can personally say that I've been to every farm that the food comes from. We also take employee field trips, so we take our staff out and show them the farms, and so they also can tell the story of, you know, I've seen that lettuce growing. We do these shake the hand that feeds you farmer to table dinners, and so we bring the farmers in and invite guests to come and eat dinner with them so they can talk to the farmers and get to know their stories. And I've got pictures on the wall of them, so I really try to just promote the farmers. We have a 10-table cafe, so we're really small, and we're investing a lot in our local food system because we believe that it helps the economy and it helps lead to more food security in our community. The term hyperlocal refers to our gardens here on site that we harvest out of the backyard, out of the back door of the kitchen, basically, and straight into the kitchen. We've got a full herb garden. I love for the customers to walk around when they're waiting for a table, and I try to have little labels on everything so people can learn about plants they might not know. It's appalling how much food goes in the trash. So another tenet of our restaurant is that we have a zero waste kitchen here. Like vegetable scraps and all that type of stuff gets turned into stalks. All of our plate scrapings gets composted or sent to some ducks and chickens that live a couple blocks down the street. And anything that's still edible, we send to hunger relief. We aim for zero food in the trash can. There's a saying, food is the unifying fabric of life, and I believe that because we all eat, right? I just think it's really important to respect the energy that went into growing that food.
Just look at all of these potatoes. This is from one plant. Now you can tell it's time to harvest them, well, because the plant is beginning to die. And if you dig down in here, you can see that even some of the potatoes have rotted, so I've waited a little long. That means we've had a lot of rain, and that's the reason for this. And another way you can tell they're ready is they're pushing themselves up out of the ground like this one. You can see it's green on the top. You don't want to eat that. You want the potato to look like this. But look at these are gorgeous. This is a variety called Kennebec. It's one that we've grown in my family for a long time, and it is the potato of choice for chefs for French fries. So if you love French fries, this is the potato for you. We planted these in February, and now it's toward the end of June, and it's time to dig them. One potato, as you can see, a piece of a potato with a single eye, produced this many potatoes. So it's really a lot of fun to grow these, particularly with kids, because they get to see where French fries come from. If you've never grown potatoes, you ought to give it a try.
My name is Brett Hilling, and we're in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm the Director of Urban Agriculture for Harvest STL. It's a local nonprofit. We manage and maintain 6 sites here in the area. And we are right in downtown St. Louis near the City Museum. It is a roof, yep. We are 8,500 square feet. We have a lot of different things going on up here. We have chickens, we have a greenhouse where we start all of our own seeds. We're standing now in the community hub space where we host a lot of farm-to-table dinners, workshops, yoga events. We do a lot of specialty items for the chefs who do our farm-to-table dinners, but we also donate out the majority of our food.
So when we decided to build a rooftop farm, it was a collaboration with my husband and I, who's also an architect. So we co-founded Urban Harvest STL together and went through the process of researching other rooftop farms and figuring out what's really possible before we brought this dream to reality. This whole quest to build a food roof kind of started as a grassroots initiative. I moved to downtown St. Louis and I don't have any personal outdoor space. I live in a downtown loft in the middle of the city, and I just wanted to grow my own food. And turns out a lot of other people in the city did as well. So we're standing on top of a green roof system that actually captures stormwater. And we designed the green roof system to be as robust as possible and capture as much stormwater as it possibly could. We can hold about 2.5 inches of rainwater on this roof, which equates to about 17,000 gallons of water per storm event. So that water is then accessible to our plants. When we don't have that water, we do have a drip irrigation system on the farm as well to augment that. In addition, we capture rainwater off the roof of our greenhouse and use that to water our greenhouse as well. So over here we have some chard growing, and it's growing in 8 inches of engineered soil. And below the soil is a green roof system across the entire food roof farm. So I'm going to walk you through what those layers are, and it starts with a roof membrane. So this membrane is thick enough that it also acts as a root barrier, so our plant's roots don't cause leaks below. This is a very important component of the green roof system. And on top of that is a layer called a capillary fleece, and this essentially is a protection mat between the next layer, which is called a retention board. The retention board is full of lightweight aggregate, which is essentially baked clay. And then on top of that is a filter fabric, and then the soil that you see goes on top of that. So essentially we're capturing water in this retention board, and this is where we can capture up to 2.5 inches of rainwater per rain event. The soil itself, if you look at it, it's not the typical soil you're used to growing in the ground. It is a specially engineered soil to meet the weight restrictions of this particular rooftop. So we designed it with a structural engineer and an agronomist to meet the weight specification of this particular roof. So it's essentially made up of this lightweight aggregate and a combination of compost, and that's it. We run our drip irrigation lines under the soil so that they water the roots directly. So growing food on a rooftop is very much different than growing food in the ground. It's a completely different soil system altogether.
Probably one of the biggest challenges for us is trellising our tomatoes. Since we don't have a lot of depth to the soil, we've built up this system where we're just using 2x2s to build out a frame and then tying the tomatoes off. The tension in the string helps hold the structure down, and it helps the tomatoes to grow up nice and tall. This is the first vertical wall in St. Louis to be growing food. This is a local company called Filtrex, and this is a system that they're doing called Vertex. And one of the advantages of the system is if in an urban setting like this, you don't have space to grow food on the ground. We're trying different plants and different spacing just to try to maximize this whole area.
What I'm most proud of regarding the Food Roof Farm is the community that we've brought together around this project. It's really been a collaborative process all the way through.
And I also enjoy the diversity of people that we've kind of attracted to this site. We've definitely built up a community of, not just people who come here to garden as community gardeners or people who volunteer, but also individuals who just want to come up and have dinner here at one of our pop-up dinners. We also rent the space out, so we've had people who are actually getting married here.
The biggest challenge is structural capacity. So finding a building that could withstand the added weight of a farm on a roof. It's a building project, so you have to adhere to building codes. So it's been a great learning experience for us and a possibility to showcase to our community how they can replicate this in their situations.
Just take a look at these beautiful eggs. Look at the diverse colors. Fresh from our hen house, our girls lay delicious and nutritious eggs. What I love about the egg, it's so diverse. You can use it in just about every meal. So why don't we take a look at a delicious recipe, a breakfast casserole.
My name is Jared Freeze. My father and I own and operate JBJ Livestock. We raise white Dorper sheep, and that's what my true passion has been ever since we got into them. Their adaptability and their just way they function in the states of Missouri and Arkansas works so well.
You know, when an animal has a particular purpose, like the Dorper sheep being a meat breed, they have a certain conformation or body type, don't they?
Several things based on conformation. Like I said, you look for an animal that has a long length of body, especially on a ram, you're looking at his masculinity. Like I said, he's got an excellent head to him. You're looking for traits like that. You're looking at the amount of muscle that he carries.
Right.
And just functionality. What you see in the show ring is their best aspects, but you want to take those best aspects and apply them to what they're going to be used for at the house.
Sure, sure. What about sort of the breadth of the chest and so forth? Is that something you're looking for?
Yes, and on the Dorper sheep, it's very important. You can see on him, if I can get him turned out here for you, he's very clean fronted. he doesn't get real thick or too, bulky in the front. Some of the Dorper sheep I worry about, you see, they almost have like a French bulldog type look to them. They're too thick in the front end, and it actually causes some lambing problems.
And one of the things that's great about the Dorper breed is that they're great about being out in the pasture themselves.
Right.
And they can take care of their babies. They don't need much assistance when it comes to when lambing time comes along.
Yes.
What we've been trying to do here is improve our flock, and I really appreciate you guys helping us with that. And it's been remarkable to me over the past 8 years since we've had them, how if you do focus on certain characteristics that you can see improvement genetically, you can see the animal change or the flock change over time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would agree with that. Like I said, we've been into white Dorper sheep now for 8 years, and we've bred a lot of them up. We've also bought some stuff along the lines also to increase our genetic pool. Like you said, genetics have played a big deal in that, just breeding for the traits you're looking for in the areas you're looking for.
You decide, hey, we need a longer back, or we want, broader shoulders.
Right,
and
want
you
better
choose
feed structure on our sheep.
Yeah. You look for those characteristics in those parent animals, and then you begin to see it in the offspring.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I know our flock has improved dramatically over the past 7 or 8 years, and with this guy on board, it's even going to get better.
He's excited about that.
He is excited about being here.
My name is Mike Freeze. We've had many different breeds of sheep, but we really enjoy and prefer the white Dorper over others. They do very well out on grass and pasture with minimal amount of supplementation.
They are a meat breed sheep. They actually have a shedding ability versus what you see on most of your old-time sheep that actually had wool. These actually shed.
The Dorper sheep are meat sheep. They're sheep that their sole purpose that they were bred for was to efficiently produce meat utilizing low quality forages and roughages.
They have a tremendous carcass quality to them. On most of your sheep, they have a decent carcass quality, but these really, that's what they're specialized for. They have a big loin, have a lot of hip, which makes your leg of lamb, and then that loin, is a big thing for your lamb chops as well, so there's a lot of pounds of products in these animals.
It is very delicate. It has a fine texture. There's a lot of muscling, so there's very little fat and gristle in it. And then also it's lean, so that you actually get more meat per pound of product. Because of the quality of the meat, that there really aren't any undesirable cuts on it, so that we can utilize it all.
If you love lamb like I do, I think you're going to find this recipe really easy to do. It's one you can do ahead of time, and it's very flavorful. What I'm doing is I'm starting out with 2 racks of lamb. Now, what I'm going to do to create this mustard and herb crusted lamb is to take the mustard, a half a cup. You can take all those mustards and mix them together. This is a Dijon mustard, but you can have a coarse grain mustard mixed with just a typical hot dog mustard mixed with the Dijon mustard. It goes on and on and on. And then what you want to do is take some minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of that, and then 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme leaves. Here we go. And then all of this gets mixed together, and it will be applied to the lamb in just a moment. Now, to make this a crusted lamb, we're going to take a cup of Italian breadcrumbs and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brown these breadcrumbs over medium heat here. There's the 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Lamb is really a lot easier to cook than you think. A lot of people are intimidated by cooking it, but it's really not that difficult, and you'll see that with this recipe. Okay, I'm ready to add the breadcrumbs. So to really get the crusted effect, what you want to do is you want to brown these breadcrumbs because it'll make the finished product really crispy, which is good. You need to move them regularly like I'm doing here so they don't overcook. All right, I think they're just about done. Time to take them off the heat so they can just cool right here. Look at that beautiful color. And while they cool, what you want to do then is take and just add some salt and pepper. And now it's just a matter of applying the mustard. Now you can actually marinate this lamb up to 6 hours before you cook it. And I really like to just spread the mustard all over it like this. I've got them both covered in mustard. And now it's just a matter of taking the breadcrumbs and pressing the breadcrumbs into the top here. Plenty of breadcrumbs there. All right, and just press the crumbs into the mustard like I've done here. These need to cook for about 25 minutes if you want them medium rare. For medium, they need to cook for about 30 minutes. They are so good. It's one of the easiest lamb recipes you'll ever try, and I hope you will give it a try. All right, in the oven you go.
I'm Ryan Carey. I'm from Lindsborg, Kansas. I've had poultry since I was 4 years old. I've noticed that lots of the old breeds that I showed when I was in 4-H are beginning to disappear, and so when I relocated from a small town to a farm, I decided to bring the poultry back. Hatch a lot, cull a lot. I hatch several thousand birds every year, and I go through them pretty heavily with several factors in mind. I'm looking for length of body, the width of their skull, how well they're feathered, how quickly they feather, leg color. And I try to select then males, especially on the egg-laying breeds, from good egg layers.
You know, these ruins make a beautiful flock.
Yes, they do.
They're so big. People come to the farm, they go, look at those mammoth mallards. What are you feeding them? I go, well, they're really not mallards. They're just colored like mallards.
Yes, they're the French meat duck from the Rouen region of France, and they're supposed to be large, mammoth, deep-keeled ducks.
Yeah.
The hens obviously have less color than the males.
Right, looking like a wild mallard.
Like a wild mallard.
That penciling, that brown and black
Yes.
penciling. They're not a heavy layer. Some of the breeds of ducks lay better than these meat breeds.
I've noticed that some of the meat breeds lay better than others, and the Rouens are probably on the lower end of that scale.
Right, right. Well, the thing about this breed, which I think is fantastic, is I really don't want them to hear this, but they're delicious.
They are delicious. They are part of the flock that I use every year to raise several hundred meat ducks that go into the market every fall.
Well, the French certainly know how to eat, and
They do.
They picked a grand duck for it.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So these birds at maturity, Ryan, what would this mature drake weigh? About 8 or 9 pounds?
About 9 pounds, maybe 10.
You know, these are big, heavy ducks. They don't fly, so someone who would like to have them as pets, they're a great backyard bird. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to let them go. What do you think?
I think they're ready to go to the water.
There we go. There you go, kids. So whether you're growing some of your own food yourself or picking it up from the local farmer's market or supporting a restaurant in your town that supports local farmers, it's easier today than it has been for decades to find locally sourced great food. I hope you'll get out there and give it a try. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith. Just wish there was an easier way to get these dishes done.